All right, let's get going. Starting in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Thought this was a guy. I've only ever seen art of this character in game, and I thought it was a guy. We don't skip the OP because it's just too difficult to resync. By the way, did you guys get the free stuff in celebration of the anime, including the Amiya icon? They gave it both global and CN as well. The fact that they give it to us at the same time is good. And I wonder if they are going to try do more things in sync for global and CN. And maybe they'll start trying to accelerate the schedule again so that when a collab comes out, it's everywhere at the same time. Personally, I hope they don't, because I like knowing what's coming. I don't like surprises when it comes to spending my pulls. Yato one-shots 2 enemies. If only that were true. At minimum, I want to be 3 months behind. One limited event, because that's enough time to save up for the next limited. Oh, that's right. Last episode we discussed about Black Steel and how we hadn't met any of these characters. So I'm guessing this is it. Mm-hmm. That's her line in the game. She says that exact line, and it sounded like they just copy and pasted the actual voice line from the game. That situation was diffused a little bit too easily, considering the desperation. Do they ever... I don't know. There's not much point asking, but I wonder if they will ever show us what the moving city looks like. Because so far there's no world building evidence of moving cities, of how that would work. If you've watched, I don't know if you've ever read or watched the Mortal Engines. I think that's what it's called. With the moving cities. That kids fantasy series. The cities are all designed around the fact that they move. And they actually fight each other. They go to war. Hello, hello, welcome. If you just want like a simple version of world building, if you think to Evangelion, you know how in Evangelion the towers retreat when they're under attack. They go underground. When someone actually goes underground, you can see what it looks like from the bottom and how they've got the space and how it all works that way. Hey, it's Galset. And so we haven't seen anything like that to show us that the moving cities is actually a thing the story writers actually thought about and didn't just throw in. Now, is that Chen's dad or just Chen's boss? I can never remember. Her uncle, okay. If you want to watch it officially, it's on Crunchyroll, as written on the screen. Now, this wouldn't be accurate if we don't get at least 5 minutes of monologue from Calcet. Belafko, thank you very much. Welcome. Glad to have you. Every episode from here on out, 5 minutes of Calcet. Otherwise, lore inaccurate. Chen is very angry for whatever reason. Cruise one-shots enemy. That's accurate. Do they not just have footage of Tallulah? Just show a video. Done. The tyrant. Oh no, we're gonna get attacked by stage 1-7. There's no escaping. There's no living. Once the tyrant attacks, you'll be trapped in limbo for eternity. A fate worse than death. I don't get this negotiation. I don't even know why there is a negotiation. They're gonna get annihilated if they don't team up. Doesn't make sense. That low angle was very weird. Not easy to draw, that angle, to be honest. Where's the injection gun? When will she threaten me? Where is it? I mean, they haven't done any big exposition dumps so far, which is the most surprising thing about this episode. The doctor can't throw. That just looked so funny. That is the funniest thing I've ever seen. Funniest thing in the show so far is just seeing the doctor go, eh. The tyrant is attacking and he's wasting our rocks. What is he thinking? Do you have any idea how many rocks Armia needs for promotion? The thing I'm most surprised by about the promotion for this anime is they didn't do an event and a banner associated with the anime. It feels like such a missed opportunity not to do more in-game stuff related to it. And to not have a collab with another game at the same time. To promo Arknights in another game. The Capcom collab won't happen until well after this is finished. We've only got, what, 4 episodes left? So that's a month. I really do like how Liskam and Franka are not so ugly in the anime. Classic Chen. Shows up, imprisons the infected, explains nothing, leaves. It's something about Franka's design makes it just look so much better in the anime. Yeah, seeing Franka's personality in the anime, her art in-game does not match her whatsoever. Apart from being hideous. You tell her, Franka. Just knock her out. You know what I was trying to think of this. What the infection looks like ever since the first episode. It looks like in Breath of the Wild when you connect your switch to the towers And it does that infection thing. Or similar to Twilight Princess. When you get infected by the Twilight Realm. Similar effect. That's what it reminded me of. Okay, so that's the episode. Right. So with Skull Shatterer, do we just let her walk past? Kill everyone else and then we kill her? Are they going to do that in the anime or not? Because that's the strategy to beat her in the game. Alright, so the episode. Thoughts? Thoughts on the episode? Well, let me just move it to the end so that people can see that it's done. And then let me unmute that so I can put on a bit of music. Alright, so thoughts on the episode. It was definitely better than the last one. Last episode was terrible. Last episode was a total waste of time. This episode is fine in isolation. I thought it was a solid episode in isolation. The problem is, we've got 8 episodes in total. And you've got yourself 8 episodes in total. And this, in a 26 episode series, would have been fine. Like that's how much I would expect in 26 episode series. But if you've only got 8, you just spend a whole lot of time looking for this girl, Misha, who is, let's face it, in the grand scheme of things, not relevant. The only relevant part of this was the scene between Calcit, Amiya, and Chen plus her uncle. That's really the only really relevant bit. Despite the episode overall being good. So, the earlier episodes' pacing issues, you know, wasting all this time on double exposition, telling and then showing and then telling the same things over and over, has led to a lot of wasted time. And this could have been like episode 2. You could have been at this point in episode 2, and that would have been okay. But right now, I do not feel like we're halfway through a season of an anime. I feel like we're still just getting started. However, the best thing about this episode is no exposition dump. Thank Christ. Finally an episode without a massive exposition dump. I mean, that just took so much time in previous episodes. Oh, they will definitely do a second season. I mean, they've invested way too much. I mean, you look at this show, the visual and audio quality is way too high for it to be a single season series. And I'd be very surprised if it wasn't popular enough for multiple seasons. Especially, even if it was just the fans of the game who watched it. Because the game is very popular, that would be enough to justify another season. But yeah, they could have really done a lot better with the story overall. And the fact that the story sucked in the game is not an excuse for the anime to suck as well. The story sucked in the game, you know what the solution is? You redo it. You rework it. You skip it. Just cut it out entirely. Just cut to Frost Nova. Skip everything else. Just cut straight to Frost Nova. That's when it starts to get a little bit more interesting. Flashback to 5 minutes for the first 4 chapters of the game. That would be a better use of time if you're going to stick to the same story. It is better than the game already, because this stuff in the game, by the way, if you have not read the story in the game, and I have read this part in the game, if you have not read the game, this stuff will take you hours to read what's just 5 minutes of screen time. There is so much garbage text in the game for these bits. It just goes on and on and on and on. Like the scene between Chen, or Uncle Calcit Amia, that bit, like where those characters introduced in this discussion, it takes you like 3 hours to get what that one scene conveyed. It just goes on for so goddamn long, and while also giving you a whole lot of nothing. So the anime has already significantly improved in terms of, even with its problems, the pacing is still 1,000 times better than the game. What the game needs, in my opinion, is a rewrite of the first few chapters. You do like a single node thing where you can read through summary versions of the first few chapters, like one per chapter. But don't do it like this happened and then this happened and then this happened. Do a proper story version, but a rewrite that takes 30 minutes per chapter, because that's what each chapter needs at most. When you consider that the anime managed to get like entire chapters done in 2 episodes, and even then they were bloated, you just can't justify recommending to anyone, yeah, you should totally read these chapters in game. You'll have a lot of fun. It's like, no, you won't. Quite a few story-heavy games that are live service have done story rewrites, or have done like summaries and things like that. I believe Final Fantasy XIV is reworking Realm Reborn, because Realm Reborn's story is so garbage. Or have they already done that? I can never keep track. Oh man, my nose goes invisible when I drink. Because the rim of the glass is green. And it looks like my nose goes underwater. So they didn't write it, they just cut out filler. Okay. So there's original Final Fantasy XIV, then there's Final Fantasy XIV Realm Reborn, where they redid the first one. However, Realm Reborn had to get redone in a very short amount of time, so it's understandable that it's not very good for the story. It feels like they just got one person, they locked that person in a room for 2 weeks, and they said, just write the entire story, one go. Whatever comes to mind first, you just put it down. No edits, no rewrites. It's one draft, done. We're going to finish it. We're going to get this out the door. And so as a result, it's just not very good, which is completely understandable. And then the writing is significantly better afterwards. But you do need to play through and know what happened in the Realm Reborn bit to get the most out of what comes afterwards. So they really should go back and at least, at most, just do like a 2-hour bit where you can, a 2-hour thing where you can cover the entire Realm Reborn for those people who just don't want to have to sit through all that filler and padding. And yes, Realm Reborn is not a rewrite of the original. It's a sequel to the original version of the original Final Fantasy XIV. So Final Fantasy XIV, they closed it off with a big apocalyptic ending, and then Realm Reborn basically is like after the apocalypse. And but it is like, a full MMO length story that feels written in one draft. But yeah, so for Arknights, I think it'd be really good if they did one story node per chapter, about 30 minutes of reading. And you could totally fit that for the first 1 to 5 chapters even. And they could probably even do that for the first 8 chapters, to be honest. Like you could fit all the important stuff in 30 minutes per chapter, but the later chapters are significantly better. And then there's the concern, right, for the anime adaptation. Like, hopefully the reason we're getting such an accelerated pace relative to the game for season 1 is because there's nothing there in those chapters. You don't want this kind of cramming for the later chapters. Like that chapter 8, the big finale with Tallulah and all that. You don't want that to be 2 episodes. You want that to be its own season for that full thing. You want it to scale up that action. You want some really epic action scenes. You want some really big fights. That's how you want it to go. You don't want it to be, 10 minutes of an episode is the big fight with Tallulah. You don't want it to be that. So hopefully the acceleration is just because they know that the first few chapters have nothing. And then they really delve into the character and the action. And you want to get some good character development as well, which there's definitely room for. That's the one thing that they could do, is if they want to drag it out, and by drag it I mean like get more content out of it, but make it quality content, is explore the characters more. Like all these operators that you've got, so far we've gotten a little bit of personality from everyone, but no character has had any actual character development. If we weren't players of the games who already knew these characters, we'd know nothing about anyone here. And it would also be interesting to see if they ever incorporate the side stories, like the side events. Like will we get a Nerl story arc? Will we get the Dragon Sisters and all that? That'd be interesting. So yeah, wait and see how they go. This episode was definitely better than the previous one. My biggest concern with this episode is not what's in the episode itself, it's what's surrounding it, and the fact that this is 1 episode out of 8, and very little actually happens in the grand scheme of things in this entire episode. They could totally do the side story stuff as OVAs, but if they're going to do an OVA for a side story, it would have to be... You'd want at least 5 episodes per side story, like for the full story events. Otherwise, there's just not enough time. It'll just come across as very rushed. But the main stories do need... In later chapters, it will need to be longer seasons, especially if they're going to pace it like this. They will need more episodes per season. It's not uncommon, not so much with anime, but more with American TV. It's not uncommon to have the first season be much shorter, just to see how it does. And then you go, right, next season, double the length. There's a lot of very successful TV shows where first season might be, 8 episodes, and then the next season goes up to 26 episodes for US TV. Walk Into the Dust would be a great story, actually. That's one of the better side story reads. It's quite interesting. The only thing you have to put up with in that one, though, is... Calcit's a main character, so there's a lot of talking. There's a lot of Calcit talking. A lot of Calcit chatter. Another good one would be... although they'll never do it. The Rainbow Six one. If we ever do get the collab come back... then you do the do it like a quick anime OVA of Originium Dust, and make the canon ending that everybody dies to that infected creature. The Nerl ones, that deserves its own full series. There's so much Nerl story and content there that you could absolutely just go, yeah, we're gonna make an entire anime series just for the Nerl stuff. Okay, right. So we're gonna start. Oh, V-Styer. 9 months in a row. Thank you for the sub. Much appreciated. Cripper, the episode was much better than earlier episodes. Much better. There was no exposition dump. Okay, hang on. We're gonna put you over here. Yeah, the whole Kazi side story arc, that could be its own series. They could have done the Arknights anime just about that, or the Undertides one. Same with the Undertides plot. That could be its own entire series. I suppose if it's very successful, they could totally tap into that.